Hi. Took me way too long to get back to what I was doing. I actually got the drawings done for my personal challenge within a couple of days, but the cough that we had gotten worse for all of us. Other things started happening. We went to the red here with COVID nearby, and then just one thing after another, and then. So, next thing I know, it has been way too long, and the stuff was sitting around waiting for me to get back to it. So, I finally got a day where I don't have to rush with anything, so I'm going to just sit down and do the next segment, the part where I show you my rework. So, this is what I did when I was a kid, like a grade 6 probably. And this is my current one, my modern take. So you can see how much better I've definitely gotten. I'm pretty impressed with how I did on this. I did take from some sample pictures on a university site. It was very well lit, the skull that I took from, so that's why you can see to the back of the eye sockets here to actually see cracks and things in the skulls in behind the eye socket. So I did quite well on that. This one, like I said, was out of a book, some magazine that I happened to have. So I had a hard time finding it, but I did. I did find the original picture. What I'm upset about is that back then I would never have known this, but the picture that I took from for this was heavily retouched. Quite heavily retouched. Which meant that it didn't actually look much like her. A lot of details to her face were completely gone, which might explain why she didn't have eye sockets in my original drawing. Because I'll set this up here. You see that? See how whited out her face is? They completely removed the area underneath of her eyes for her eye sockets. Can't tell where they're supposed to be. They removed everything from there, so it's all flat through that area. She has a hint of a smile line over here, but this whitened area by the side there is completely removed. You zoom in on it and you can see that it's all pixely there. And the smile line that should be over here to reciprocate that is completely removed. And on top of that, there's these areas underneath of her neckline, like underneath here. There should be some shadowing and creasing there. You see how much bigger her shadow is? It's like they removed it, and it's all fuzzy and weird detail here, and there's fuzziness there. They've removed a lot of features, and I suspect they also thinned out her eyebrows even further. Her nose line is mostly left alone. I only found a little hint of pixeling on this side of it for the shadow here under this eye. It was a normal thing to do. Even now, retouching photos is very common. But by doing that, it made it pretty difficult for me to be able to draw a realistic picture, especially when I was a kid and didn't know that these details had gone missing. So I got to a point with my redraw that I was happy with. I tried looking for other pictures of her in a similar angle from the same time frame, but I couldn't find anything that was quite right that wasn't also heavily retouched. So that's what I did. That's my redraw. And I recreated a more realistic, not such a harsh shadow that jots off to nothing and then is left alone in behind in the background. It's more realistic there. I would have liked to have added in her her necklines that should have been there, but I couldn't find any pictures of her that had them. Most of her pictures I found that either you can't see her neck because of her hair, because she has such incredible big curly hair for the vast majority of the pictures of her from that time frame, so I could see hints of it, but I couldn't really tell exactly where it was at. It seems natural to me that there should be a little crease right along there, and there should also be a little muscle shadow right along here. I started to try to build this one, but I was having trouble making it look realistic without having something to counter that curve on this side of it, and I couldn't tell exactly where it should be. I also feel that her neckline should have come in a little bit further this way before coming down, just because it looks so flat across here. My automatic thought is that this side should be narrower, but I don't think that's really the case, just because of what areas of that photo had the restoration and the pixeling was showing up, so it was very difficult to tell. I tried to indicate her smile line that had been removed here to make it look natural and to try to recreate more of one here. And I tried to give her some natural eye sockets that everybody has that for some reason in the 80s and 90s were removed from the vast majority of pictures. I also thickened her eyebrows to look more like her eyebrows do from the vast majority of the movies that she'd done at the time. Although I couldn't quite get them level, they don't look level to me, and in the pictures that I'm looking at of her, they look like they're level. But there's something about the way they're placed there that seems more natural because of the tilt on her face, but at the same time, it looks like this one is off this way a little too far. But that could just be perception and view. I'm also overly critical of my own work. But with her hair, I just did the best I could based on the picture that she had. It was very whited out, which highlighted too much of her hair and lost its natural color. Her natural color was much darker than what it was in that photo, so it was harder to tell where exactly I should be putting the proper highlights, because it was just, the photo was obviously taken with a telephoto lens from a short distance rather than a far distance. And the reason I know that is because of how hot everything on her face and her hair was. That flash was way too close to her for the settings on the focal lens and the zoom. Sorry. So the guy's using a telephoto lens and is really close, using a really powerful lens as if he was far away, which made her overly lit, so it poofed everything. And then he went in after, I say he, but could have been a she, went in after and digitally retouched absolutely everything on the photo and washed out the vast majority of her natural features. So this was really the best I was ever going to get off of that photo. So I think it was pretty good though. So those are my two redraws, which was my personal challenge to show how far I've actually come. And I've definitely come a very long way, and I am definitely good at what I do. I just still don't feel like I'm as good as I should be. So what do I do next to try to boast my confidence, to try to prove to myself that I can do better? I'm not entirely sure what I should do next. I figure my next one I might, because this is my charcoal stuff, my pencil work, maybe in the next one I'll show some of my paintings. I do have an oil painting that I did a while back. It's one of my favorites. I absolutely love. Maybe I'll show some of, I have a couple that my grandfather or great-grandfather had done. He's kind of my inspiration in a lot of ways for my painting. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what I can actually scrimmage up. Alrighty, see you next time.